Your organizations have made firm commitments to ESG and DEI targets. Digital inclusion is one of those commitments, falling under SDGs 4, 8, 10. Digital inclusion means ensuring that all visitors can use and enjoy your digital channels. And it's a lot of people. 20% of the world's population has a disability, says Sarah Herlinger, Apple's Senior Director of Global Accessibility. And it's not only about disability. Think of an aging population that values assistive technologies to get the best out of your website. You're either slamming the door in their face or making it harder than it needs to be to benefit from your digital channels. Organizations everywhere face a pressing need to deliver better content faster. Content is being published and consumed faster than ever. Organizations know that this content should be compliant and accessible as well as on brand, but the need for speed means that corners get cut and accessibility, carbon footprint and privacy get overlooked as a crucial deadline approaches. Publishing is often devolved to agencies, country site owners and brand site owners. Accessibility is often mandated but not backed up with sufficient budget and time allowance. In the race to publish content faster, control has been lost over commitments and compliance. Over the past few years, fueled by COVID, digital channels have proliferated. Most organizations don't know their true digital footprint. It often includes a raft of old but not decommissioned websites that increase your risk exposure and cause brand damage. Are you undermining your ESG and DEI messages by publishing your claims on a website that fails to meet your own commitments and legal requirements? The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, states that websites and mobile apps must be accessible. Similarly, Europe is on track with its own initiative, as the European Accessibility Act, EAA, is set to become law across all EU member states by June of next year. 500 CEOs and their companies have put disability inclusion on the leadership agenda and made a commitment to action. The valuable 500 are actively campaigning on inclusive representation. The Equity Performance Certificate measures how well organizations respect their website visitors in terms of an accessible, sustainable, and private experience. Accessible and private because it's the law. Sustainable because it's the right thing to do and brings other benefits. The Equity Performance Certificate is made up of 3 factors: the environmental impact or carbon footprint of your website, the societal requirement for inclusive digital experiences, and governance in the form of privacy. Considering the carbon footprint of digital channels is relatively new. Organizations generally score badly due to the lack of constraints with bandwidth and storage of the past few years. Privacy scores are usually better than for carbon and accessibility. Why? Because of GDPR. The law forced all companies to implement cookie consent. As a result, everybody upped their game. Accessibility is back on the board agenda. As with GDPR, the Americans with Disabilities Act and European Accessibility Act will eventually force compliance. So now is a good time to get started. Let's focus on accessibility. For most of you, this will already have been mandated. So why is the average grade for EACD delegate websites a D? Insufficient funds, budgets getting squeezed, insufficient time, that publish faster mentality again. Massive backlog caused by years of poor practice, devolved governance, and a plethora of technology tools, consultants, and technical standards. But nothing that helps the senior leadership team get an independent, consistent view across the organization's digital channels. The market is awash with sticking plaster solutions, like accessibility panels that add assistive technology to your website. But most of these features are already built into the user's operating system, and website visitors with disabilities already know how to use these tools. Compliance is not a one-and-done project, and shortcuts are not going to work long-term. As you'll hear at this EACD summit, the rise of misinformation and disinformation means that controlling your message on digital channels is more important than ever. There are further benefits. You can widen your audience by practicing good digital inclusivity. Accessible, carbon-efficient websites will rank more highly in search engines. Artificial intelligence will be absorbing your website content into their large language models. Well-structured, accessible content will help ensure that the AI is absorbing what you want it to. It's time to take control of your brand promises and make sure they are consistently applied across your web estate. This needs to be part of your digital transformation program. It's an opportunity to prepare for the future. The EACD Summit Report summarizes the findings, but it is anonymous. If you want to find out your equity performance certificate grade, fill out the form.